I'm going to install the spark plug tube seals. These guys, these are the ones that go right here on those tubes. So you just slide them over. Don't worry about pressing them down too hard because they will get pressed down when we put the valve cover on, so this part of the valve cover sits on top of them. Alright, let's talk about the valve cover gasket when you're installing this. So I don't buy L-ring or any of the others. Some people say they leak, some people say they don't leak, so I don't deal with that. I buy an actual BMW gasket. So the proper way of doing it, I'm talking about RTV here, whether you need it or not. There are these places where the Vanos unit meets up with the head. There's a little bit of a gap there. Those are the only two places where you need some RTV. You don't need to go, and beat it all the way around the perimeter on the top and on the bottom and RTV the life out of it. So I don't RTV the half moons. I haven't really had problems with those leaking, but I do put a little bit of just a tiny dab of RTV on the surfaces that made up here. So fitting this thing in is a little bit tricky, especially since I have so many wires in the back from the injector connectors for E85. Laying it down initially is the easy part. The hard part is actually getting the valve cover in there, making sure that the wires don't get pinched. Try to find a picture of where I pinched cam sensor wire in there and then I had a leak. So now I'm just trying to position the valve gasket over here, go over all of the various wires, or under. Now we got to do the valve cover. And the valve cover will go on top. It's going to be a little bit trickier also with all these wires. I don't have any helpers right now. So let's see which way I need to turn this, the wire loom. So I have to go under some of these wires here. So there's a wire here for lights that I have. There are a bunch of wires for O2 sensors. There are 2 connectors. Yeah, there's that wire. They got pinched. Let me actually pull the camera off. So, right in there, because the connector for it is over here, the camshaft sensor itself is over here, and it just runs along here. And that's what got pinched last time. It's asking for it again, but I know to watch out for it now. So that's on. Okay, spark plugs are going in. If you have a proper socket, you don't have to do what I do, but again, my socket lost its rubber little insert, so I'm just going to lower it with my needle nose pliers, slowly and carefully. So I always start them by hand. 17 to 18 foot-pounds, 22 to 23 newton meters. Again, thread should be dry. Part number for the spark plugs I'll post in the description. Okay, on to the grommets. They go all along here. The tapered side will go down toward the valve cover. So there is a washer on these guys, so don't forget that. So there are 12 of these guys that look the same that will go all along the valve cover there. And there's also one that goes, there's a 13th one that goes right here in the front. Then there are 2 of these guys, and these guys go on the edges or in the 2 corners, and their grommets are much thinner, but also have a tapered edge that goes into the valve cover. So these 2 are going to go here. The torque on them is about 7.5 foot-pounds or about 10 newton meters. Next I'm going to attach all these hoses, breathers. Electrical connection. O2 sensors back in their place. Then I have this ground wire. Just snug it up. I don't really put a specific torque on it. Okay, onto the drain pipe. So the way that I do it is I put the first washer onto the banjo and I start putting it through, and then the second washer, what I do is I actually hold it with pliers like this against the valve cover. So I kind of do it from the top actually. It's a lot easier. Here. No, my hand is covering it up, but you kind of would get the idea. And then I thread it in. So what that looks like from the top. 25 Newton meters, about 18 foot-pounds. Put this cover on, the sits under here. So now I'm going to do the coils. These are Bosch coils. Seated on the spark plug. Push the connector in, and then drop this thing down. There you go. And then the last thing that I did was this positive terminal. Hook up the negative terminal. So last thing I forgot is the strut bar. These are 13 millimeter. I never really torqued them to torque. I don't know what the torque is. I guess 15 foot-pounds maybe. I just do them snug, but just a reminder again, just to make sure that you tighten this down when the car is flat on the ground. So that's a valve adjustment.